Good evening and welcome to the Maryland Public Service Commission in case number 9645. This is a public comment hearing involving the application of Baltimore Gas and Electric's application for revised electric and natural gas rates. We are on the record. My name is Jason Stanek. I'm the chairman of the Maryland Public Service Commission. With me tonight are Commissioners Anthony J. O'Donnell, Commissioner Obi Linton, and Commissioner Mindy Herman. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to solicit public comment from individuals concerning the rate application that was made by Baltimore Gas and Electric on May 15th of 2020. Tonight, the commissioners cannot answer any substantive questions regarding the application. However, we would be able to possibly answer questions regarding procedural issues. In attendance tonight are representatives from the utility, Baltimore Gas and Electric Company, from the Commission's Staff Council, as well as from the Maryland Office of People's Counsel. To the extent any commenters have questions of those parties, the questioner and those parties may discuss offline. Tonight, we also have a court reporter with us who will be producing a transcript of tonight's hearing. So when you speak, please clearly state and spell your first and last name so he may produce an accurate record. I'll begin this evening by recognizing Mr. John Frayne of the Baltimore Gas and Electric Company to provide us with some background regarding the utility's rate application. Good evening, Mr. Frayne.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. John Frayne from BGE. My name
It's breaking up. Can you get closer to the speaker, closer to the computer? You're breaking up. Can you get closer to the computer when you speak, please?
Mr. Frayne, did you hear the court reporter? It appears that both of our representatives from Baltimore Gas Electric Company have some connectivity trouble. Mr. Frayne, are you back with us?
Sorry, I believe I am. Yes. Good evening. Sorry about that. John Frayne for BGE. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak this evening. BGE appreciates the Commission's continued interest in enhancing utility rate making in Maryland and allowing BGE to serve as the pilot utility for a multi-year plan. BGE's multi-year plan is forward-looking, and it allows certainty about rates, greater transparency and accountability about utility investments, and it also reduces the costs of annual rate cases. In our multi-year plan, we are explaining what we are going to do over the next 3 years, what it will cost, and we are also agreeing to be held accountable to our budget. To aid in the region's recovery from the pandemic, we have also proposed an innovative 3-year multi-year plan, which allows for flat base distribution rates for 2 years, while also allowing BGE to invest in our electric and gas distribution system in order to support continued safe and reliable service. There will be no base rate increase until 2023. As a result, BGE's proposed plan also allows customers to have certainty about base rates for those 3 years. It also has important environmental benefits for Maryland. Natural gas investments over the multi-year plan period will reduce carbon emissions by 1.1 million metric tons, and our electric vehicle program will support over 1 billion electric vehicle miles, making the air cleaner in Maryland for every electric vehicle mile. The multi-year plan will also substantially benefit the Maryland economy, supporting 26,000 jobs over 3 years and 15 billion in local economic impact over that same time period. In total, BGE will be investing during the multi-year plan period over $5 billion in the local Maryland economy. This will include important projects that will help reduce the frequency and duration of power outages and we will continue to invest to prepare the grid for extreme weather. We're also replacing outmoded technologies such as the 4 kV electric system to improve reliability, enable greater adoption of solar and electric vehicle charging, and assist customers who want to use more modern technologies. It's important to remember that even with our proposed multi-year plan, BG residential bills will still remain 22% lower than they were in 2008. In closing, BG's multi-year plan is in the public interest. It's good for customers, good for the Maryland economy, and good for the Maryland environment, and we welcome the opportunity for the review of our multi-year plan.
Thank you, Mr. Frayne. At this time, we will hear from interested members of the public regarding this rate application that was filed by BGE. I see one member of the public present tonight, Mr. Patrick Smythe. Mr. Smythe, you may proceed with your testimony.
Hi, thank you. I'm sure that BG&E is doing the best that it thinks it can, and I disagree. And there are a couple of reasons. First off, it's very clear that the fossil fuel problems that arise are mercury in the water. I don't know if you're aware of the latest mercury readings from the Chesapeake Bay, but freshwater fish found in the Chesapeake Bay are having 36% to 48%, depending on their area, more mercury in their systems than is allowed for edible fish. Now, I don't know why we're eating any of those, because the crabs are eating the dead fish. And so the crabs have to have a lot of mercury in them too. So it's not BG&E's fault that this has happened. This is about burning fossil fuels. And so if you keep on poisoning, we're all going to be in worse shape. First off, there are a lot of people who are losing their jobs. The watermen will lose their jobs, the oysters, the clammers, all these people will be losing their jobs, only to have, now, how do you fix that? Well, you get rid of the fossil fuels. How can you do that? Well, I looked at, now the mercury is not the only problem. So there are other issues, PAHs, I think you call them. Now, I was looking at I thought about the safety of gas versus electricity, and everybody had to do that when the explosion happened on Reisterstown Road. You just kind of wonder, well, is it safe or is it not safe? And I talked to firemen who said they go out on 5 times as many calls for gas appliances than they do for electrical appliances. Now, I live in Owings Mills, and there is a push and they just put gas in the streets around my house. And there's a real push by BG&E to stick with this gas idea, all right? And I've been offered a connection for $2,500. And then now I've been offered the connection if I only buy a gas appliance in the next 2 years. So there's a real commitment for BG&E to continue to run fossil fuels. I'm not sure why that is, but I'm uncovering things like PJM, which seems to have a monopoly in the area of 13 states and the District of Columbia. So maybe they don't have a choice but to do this. Maybe their money is invested more, as much as in the jobs, as much as they have invested in stock or anything else. I mean, it makes sense in some ways to stay in the box and to stay within what you know. But it's costing us, I say, more than it needs to. I asked the BG&E people to supply me how much money it was costing them per mile to put the gas in. Now, they didn't answer that question. They sent me back answers to several other questions. Sometimes my questions, I know after the last hearing, I recognize that it had a little bit of spite in it. So I apologize for that. What I recognize is that it isn't like your fault, but we have to look at the overall system and see if it's serving the public interest. And that is in the Public Service Commission's mandate to make sure that that's happening. So I found out by reading the story about the explosion that they spent $560 million to replace 260 miles of gas main and 64,000 gas service pipes. I estimated that it's almost 60 feet from my hookup to the middle of the street. So if I had gotten gas, they'd have had 60 feet of line to run. 64,000 divided by 60 feet runs to, where's that number? 727 miles. So essentially the 260 miles plus the 727 miles gives you 987 miles for $560 million. So that's about 135,219. Where there's my thing here. That's $567,375 per mile of pipe. Now, what could you do with that 567,000? Well, maybe you could put my solar on my house costs $10,000. If you put that 10,000, that's 56,000 homes that $560 million could put, and that's only if you don't have BG&E's buying power. If you have BG&E's buying power, you can cut that by a third, more than likely, maybe
Mr.
two-thirds.
Vice, I apologize for the interruption. However, as I stated at the outset, the purpose of tonight's public comment hearing is to hear comments directly on the rate filing that was made on May 15th.
Well, this is all why I'm saying all this. Is the background for letting you know that they shouldn't have long-term contracts. The reason they shouldn't have long-term contracts is because the long-term contracts are going to be with fossil fuel companies. On one of your reports of 2019, it showed the gas came down every month. So if they make a long-term contract now at today's rates, we're going to be paying for those rates over that amount of time. Now, I'm trying to make it so that you guys are knowing that I'm not looking at you're bad and wrong. I'm looking at you aren't looking at the numbers. Do you know how much money you can make on SRECs by putting solar? Do you know you could free yourself from PJM by owning the installations and having the customer pay by leasing them? This is all something the PSC is supposed to be looking at based on the mission statement of the PSC. But I see that everybody's stuck in a funnel. And I'm trying to break us out of the funnel so that we can have more people. That amount of money that you said was going to be invested into jobs, et cetera, and into the community will be invested in the same way. It'll be invested maybe in a little different way, but it'll be invested, and you'll keep plenty of Marylanders in jobs. You'll also reduce pollution by way more than what you would do if you kept burning fossil fuels. So I'm trying to make it so that everybody sees that we can make it work. It couldn't work 20 years ago. It can work now. And it's best if we switch over and we provide and we keep the Maryland watermen and our crabs from dying off. So that's my suggestion, is you don't make any long-term contracts with fossil fuel companies. And even if you didn't, the price is going to keep getting lower because the price gets lower for all of this energy stuff as we introduce more opportunities. I would also recommend, it says here, explore innovation that will encourage the efficient delivery of public utility services. I would suggest that BG&E come up with a plan to harness all of that wind that goes through the skyscrapers in downtown Baltimore and light Baltimore for free and show the nation what we can do. So there's all kinds of things about, I'll be quiet now. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for participating again, Mr. Smythe, in our evening.
My pleasure. Will there be a recording or a synopsis available?
Yes, the recording will be available on YouTube immediately after tonight's conference. At this
Okay.
time, I will turn to I believe we have another caller. If you'd like to please identify yourself and state your name and spell your name. Or perhaps we do not have another caller. If there's nobody else wishing to be recognized tonight, the commission will adjourn this hearing. We will have one more public evening hearing next month in September. That date has been posted in this docket number, which is case number 9645. This hearing is adjourned.
No.
Oh,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman,
Bell.
I was going to suggest that caller did unmute themselves. Maybe we could ask them again one more time.
Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm sorry. This is Seth Sikora. My microphone on my computer died, so I called in.
Thank you, Ms. Sikora.